We are today with the presence of Eeuwout Klootwijk. It's a little bit difficult for me to pronounce exactly the name and family name, but Eeuwout is on charge of the dialogue between Jews and the Reformed Dutch Church. So the first question is, what is the Reformed Dutch Church or the Reformed Church of the Netherlands? And I would complete the formulation of this question with other questions related to what was the or how was the religious panorama in the Netherlands at the beginning of the 16th century, when the Jews who escaped from Spain arrived Amsterdam and other cities in Holland. They were very well received.
Yes.
They formed really very important institutions, and some very famous people came out from those the congregations in the Netherlands. Maybe that the most famous of them was Baruch Spinoza.
Spinoza, yes,
Yes.
definitely. Yes.
So, my dear Eeuwout, tell us about the history, about the 500 years of history of the religious situation in the Netherlands.
Well, that is the big question, I must say. And you do very well pronounce my name, Eeuwout. It's right. The Protestant Church in the Netherlands, that is the official name, is United Church in the Netherlands of two branches. The Lutheran Church and the Reformed Church came together in 2004, and they united into the Protestant Church in the Netherlands. So that is the church I belong to, and I work in the field of Jewish-Christian relationships. Now, the history of the Jewish presence in the Netherlands is a long history, and it started indeed in the 16th century, when people from Spain and Portugal came to the Dutch Republic. We had a republic then. Now we have a democracy and a kingdom, but then it was a Dutch Republic. And it has the Republic had a free spirit. So people came to the Republic to live and in freedom, and they could. There was a state church that was the Reformed Church, but still other people had freedom to express their religion, and also the Jews. There were small minorities. So in some cities, 10, 15, 20 Jewish people, and the congregations grew. So they became bigger and bigger, especially in Amsterdam. There was a big Jewish settlement, and one of the famous people indeed was Spinoza. But there was a ban of Spinoza, of course, you know. So that is another story. But so the Jewish community was well received in the Dutch Republic, and that remained till the 19th, 20th century. So in the 20th century, just before the Second World War, there were big Jewish communities. So there were 120,000 Jewish people in the Netherlands. 120,000 people just before the Second World War. But then the Second World War started, and the Netherlands were occupied, and then there was a real drama, a real catastrophe. So 100,000 Jewish people were transported to Auschwitz, deported, and so the whole Jewish community was demolished. So few Jewish people returned to the Netherlands after the Second World War, but they were tiny. Small Jewish communities. Nowadays, there are more or less 40, 50,000 Jewish people in the Netherlands. So it's nothing compared to the situation just before the Second World War. So that was a landslide in many countries, but in the Netherlands in a very special way. So now there are 40, 50,000 Jewish people, more or less, and only, I think, 10% are religious. So they go to synagogue, have affiliation to the Jewish community. But most Jewish people in the Netherlands are secular, you can say, or more or less religious. But only a few of them, 10%, so 10,000 maybe, 5 or 10,000 go to the synagogue. And most of them are Orthodox, but there are also liberals. So that these are the two communities nowadays in the Netherlands.
So, thanks for this review. Very interesting and very, very precise review. On the Kristallnacht commemoration, which took place the November 8, 2020,
yes, yeah.
it was released a statement by the Protestant Church in the Netherlands about recognizing faults and our, I am reading the title of the statement, responsibility for the future.
Yes.
And in one of the paragraphs of this statement, we can read as follows. The Protestant Church in the Netherlands wants to recognize without hesitation that the Church has helped prepare a breeding ground in which the seeds of anti-Semitism and hatred could grow.
Yes.
How should we understand this paragraph? Was anti-Semitism in the church? What was the influence of this anti-Semitic feelings or the preparation of the ground? How was this preparation? How occurred that this preparation to put on this or to sow in this ground the seeds of anti-Semitism? How great was anti-Semitism during the Shoah in Holland? How to understand this paragraph?
Yes, this is a very important sentence in the declaration, the statement of the Protestant Church on acknowledging guilt and our responsibility for the future. But this sentence is not only on the period just before the Second World War or during the Second World War. It is a sentence which goes back to the centuries of history.
So I understood.
Yes. And it tells about preparing the ground in which the seeds of anti-Semitism could grow. And then you must think of, theology, but also of economy. Theology, so the church has said a long time that the church has come in the place of Judaism. So Judaism was the old religion, old-fashioned, outmoded, and the church came in place of Judaism. That the church was saying many centuries. So the law, which was important for Jews and in Judaism, now was replaced by the gospel. So in place of the law, you got the gospel. And Jews were responsible for the death of Jesus. So that the church was telling to the people many centuries. And also economic, the Jews couldn't have the jobs other people had. So they were a minority in society. So the church prepared a ground in which anti-Semitism could grow, and that has changed, and has changed a lot in the last 50 years or so. So new relationships have come to the fore. So we have tried to build new relationships to each other. So we are on the same level, on the same ground, Jews and Christians. Is that an answer to your question?
Yes, yes. I have a next question, which is a little bit a delicate question, I would say. I didn't search in the archives if what I'm going to tell you now, but what I have in my memory is that before the 6 Days War between Israel and Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, really the month before the beginning of the war, Jews throughout the world were in panic.
Yes.
Many Jews throughout the world asked themselves, are we going to face a new Holocaust?
Yes.
Because the discourses of Nasser, the president of the then president of Egypt and the leader of this coalition against Israel, his words were terrible expressions. We are going to throw out the Jews to the Mediterranean. And as during the Shoah, the world maintained silence. But if my memory is well, one of the countries that expressed themselves backing Israel was
the
Holland.
Netherlands. Yes, it was true. Yes.
Now, what happened from then to what occurred after the 6 Day War? Because the information that I received years ago, I remember a meeting organized by the Lutheran Church in Hungary in 2001. In this meeting, when we analyze anti-Semitism in the world, Rabbi Klootwijk told me, but in Holland, Israel has not more the same
No,
backing, the same support
no, no,
as
no,
they used to have.
no.
The point is that for us Jews in our days, we feel and we understand, many of us feel, understand that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And I would like to explain myself. We know that there is a problem between Palestinian people and Israel. We know this is a social problem that must be resolved in a peaceful way, through dialogue, through, okay, you know the history as well,
Yeah, yeah,
all the intense, all the approaches between Israel and the Palestinian, the agreements of Norway, all the story and all the different opportunities in which was an approachment between the politicians from one side and the other. And for our great sorrow, we didn't saw the great success that we expected to. This is from one side. From the other side, there is a very known published reality of Palestinians and Jews working together
yes,
to counters, and Palestinians entering Israel in good numbers. I don't know how many thousands, day after day, in order to work in Israel. So when the world is blaming Israel, you have all the guilt of the whole the situation. And from the other side, you hear expressions like, no, the only one, the only one side on which we have to see the responsibility of this situation is Israel, and the only one solution is to finish with Israel as a Jewish state.
yes,
So,
yes.
what is the what occurs in Holland regarding this point?
Yes,
We know that many people blaming Israel
yes. And also in the Netherlands, yes.
at the end are attacking throughout the world Jews without distinguish between religious, no religious, pro-Israel. There are Jews who are criticizing a lot of Israel. No, they are as an expression of their anti-Zionism. They are anti-Jews. So this is the best proof to say this is a new form of anti-Semitism. What is your position?
Yes.
At large in Holland and as church?
I can tell you something about the general mood in the Netherlands and something of the position of the church in the Protestant church. The mood in the Netherlands during the 60s till now has dramatically changed. It dramatically changed. So during the 6 Days War, there was a great support of Israel. So many people supported Israel. And the religious people in the Netherlands said, well, this is the people of God, the Jewish people. So God is protecting his people. So there was enthusiasm for Israel. But that has changed because of the conflict of Israel and the Palestinians. So many people in the Netherlands now are confused, don't know how to think about the situation. And indeed, some people say in the Netherlands, well, Israel is to blame. Israel is the aggressor. Israel does not respect the rights of the Palestinian people. So that is the general mood in the Netherlands, confusion and sometimes blaming Israel. So it is totally different from the situation in the 60s. Then most people supported Israel. Well, what is the position of the Protestant Church in the Netherlands? The Protestant Church doesn't support states, but the church knows that Israel is for most Jewish people around the world very, very important, and Israel as a Jewish state. So when people do not accept Israel as a state, that is a kind of anti-Semitism. So the church wants to fight that kind of anti-Semitism. When you don't accept Israel as a state, you are anti-Jewish. You are, well, acting on anti-Semitism. Well, that is one side of the story. The other side is that the Protestant Church has partner relations with Jewish organization in Israel, but also and in the Palestinian territories, but also with Palestinian territories, the Palestinian partners. And the Palestinian partners are mainly Christians. So we are connected with the Palestinian Christians because we are churches. So we relate to the churches in Israel itself and also in the Palestinian territories. So we invest in partner relations with who seek peace and who seek to make bonds to each other. So, for example, Rabbis for Human Rights is one of the organizations, or the Rossing Center in Jerusalem, who is supporting mixed schools, Arabic schools and Jewish schools, and bringing people together, so that we support. So that is a kind of bridging the gap between Jewish and Palestinian people. And when you say anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, well, that is true in many situations, but not always. Not always. When anti-Zionism means we don't accept the Jewish state, then it is anti-Semitism. But you can criticize the Jewish government. You can criticize the policy of Netanyahu and now of Bennett. So, of course, you can criticize also the treatment of Palestinian people. You can criticize, but that we do not as a church. As a church, we invest in relations with partners in Israel and in the Palestinian territories. So we think that is our role as a church.
Perfect. And a last question. On this question, we analyzed your position in the dialogue about Israel, about the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. But now a new question on the same theme, but opening a little bit more, or absolutely more, the panorama. Mm-hmm. You are in charge of the development of the dialogue. With Israel is only a part.
Yes, of course. Yes, yes.
A part.
A dominant part, but it is a part.
Very important part, but it's a part because you have, yeah, thanks God, Jewish congregations in Holland, and the relationship with the world Jewry, I would say. So can you describe us a little bit about the other activities beside Israeli-Palestinian
Yeah.
part
Well,
of your
yeah.
dialogical work?
Well, I told you that the Jewish community in the Netherlands is only a small community of 45,000 people. We have 17 million people in the Netherlands, and only 40,000 are Jewish. And the small minority is religious. So the Jewish religious dialogue is only a small part of the church activities, and also the church is a minority in the Dutch community, in the Dutch society. I want to tell you this: there was a conference a few years ago, and in this conference, we looked back on 40 years of dialogue, Jewish-Christian dialogue in the Netherlands. And there were Jewish people, Christian people who noted a few important steps. And I want to bring to you these steps, only a few of them. So, well, it's obvious, but in the Jewish-Christian dialogue, you can learn from each other. So not only Christians can learn from Jewish people, but also vice versa. So Jewish people can learn from Christians. It is well, a bilateral process. You can learn from each other. And also an important insight is when a Christian and a Jew are in dialogue with each other, we meet each other. Now this afternoon, this morning, we meet each other. Well, we bring with us our tradition, but we meet as individual persons. So you are an individual Jew, I'm an individual Christian. So, well, we bring with us the entire tradition, but still it is a conversation of individuals. So that is also an important insight, I think. And another insight is dialogue is contextual. So there is not one model of dialogue. The dialogue in Argentina is different from the dialogue in the Netherlands, and the dialogue in Israel is different from the dialogue in America. And why? Because our histories are different. Our context is different. So in the Netherlands, we have the context of the Second World War and the Holocaust, and that 100,000 Jewish people were deported to Auschwitz. That is our context. So you have a different context. So dialogue is contextual. And also an important insight is real dialogue is about life issues, which you cannot leave to secular society. So we have something to bring into our societies. It is not only we Christians and we Jews, but we have something important to say, to bring into our secular societies. So I said that real dialogue is about life issues, which you cannot leave to the secular society. So we have something important as Jews and as Christians to say to our community, our society. So a protest against polarization, that each one is equal in the image of God. So that these are important insights for broader society. And also an insight of the interreligious dialogue, Jewish-Christian dialogue, is keep studying and reading, and thank God and live with joy. So these are some of the insights of 40 years dialogue between Christians and Jews. But still we think we are at the beginning. We are still at the beginning of learning of each other, of learning to know each other. And well, that is a long way ahead of us, that we think. But we start to to make friendships to each other. And also one important insight is from the church, out of the church, it is conversation, it is dialogue, it is not converting Jews. In former days, the church wanted to convert the Jews converting to Jesus Christ. Nowadays, it is we want to be in dialogue with each other. We are on an equal level. We are twins coming out of the same womb of the mother. We come from the same background. So I do not have to convert you, and you do not have to convert me. The most important thing is knowing each other and traveling on the same road.
Ewout, you were very, very clear, very precise, very accurate. It's interesting to stress the point how many parallel things you express in comparison with the Catholic Jewish dialogue.
Yeah.
No more, no more making mission among the Jews
No,
in order to convert them.
no.
And regarding Israel, on some opportunity, I received an answer from the Holy Father Francis, and he wrote to me, each person who denies the right of the Jews to live as Jews and the right of the existence of the state of Israel could be defined as an anti-Semitic.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's what you
Yes.
said.
Yes.
And also you emphasize a very special word, to meet the other. What it's going on between you and me on this moment is to meet. It's not only a conversation, but it's as my good friend the Pope Francis would say, to open the heart from one towards the other in order to reveal the other what is going on in our hearts and minds, our understandings, and to receive and perceive absolutely the feelings and the way of thinking of the other. This is a really dialogue, a deep meeting. Without the concept of meeting, dialogue is merely
Well, it's intellectual business. So.
As a rabbi used to define that here in the United States, an Argentinian rabbi who established himself in the United States many, many years ago. And he worked for the American Jewish Committee, and he had an expression for this kind of meetings as tea and sympathy. Tea and sympathy. No. Sympathy, yes. But through dialogue. Through meeting. Yes. Without restrictions. I ask you openly, without any restrictions, and not so easy questions, very sensitive.
Yes.
And you answered. I felt so that in a very sincere way. So, would you like to add something to this our encounter, my dear Eeuwout?
Well, it was a real pleasure to meet you and to have this this conversation, which is deeper than a conversation. It is a real dialogue and speaking from heart to heart. And I hope to meet you one day in one of the conferences of the ICCJ, maybe next year or whatever.
You are going to meet me in a couple days more in the ICCJ encounter.
Yes, okay. Yes, online. Well, it's online.
Online. Online. But of course,
Yes,
with the hope that the next encounter in 2022 could be not we are going to be online, but online face to face, and not
yes.
online by through a camera.
And I think this kind of conversations will really change our world. So it's only two of us who are speaking to each other, but that makes a difference. And we need to make many steps with each other and with each other's traditions. But when you look back at 40 years or 50 years or 60 years from Nostra Aetate till now, well, there has been a great achievement. So in looking with different eyes to each other and really meeting each other.
Yes, on this way occurred a great change in the last 50 years. Shimon Peres, the late former president of Israel, taught me, and so he wrote to me in a book that he dedicated to me. Never in the last 2,000 years we were so close in dialogue with the Christian church, with Christianity, as we are on these days. And there is a saying very used that one person can make a difference.
Yes.
And I would change a little bit this saying that really two persons can make a difference, two persons in dialogue. There is a very known song in Hebrew. It was very known when this song appeared, and a classical in the modern Hebrew musical culture, which says very classical. Ani ve'ata neshane et ha'olam. I and you are going to change the world.
The world, yes.
Yeah. I and you, both of us are going to change the world. And when I hear now this very simple and beautiful song, I connect the words Ani ve'ata with a very famous book of Martin Buber,
Yes. Yeah.
It's not simply, okay, I and you. No, it's I and a thou, and really meaning in a real.
Yeah, you are not an object, but we are subjects, and we are connecting to each other. And there is also one important thing happening. I want to add, you work at a college, and there are many different Christian colleges in the world, also in the Netherlands. And what you see nowadays is that Christian and Jewish people are working together. Even in the education of pastors and vicars in the Netherlands, there are Jewish people teaching New Testament or Tanakh. So that is very important. So there are less divisions and more cooperation.
And more knowledge from one towards the other. From one to the other. Knowledge, transmitting knowledge and receiving knowledge. Knowledge is ladat in Hebrew. And ladat is used as a synonym in Hebrew of love, even of
Yeah.
laughter, in a
Yeah.
very famous verse in
Beautiful.
Hosea. In Hosea. My dear Eeuwout, I thank you a lot for your time, for your being with us, for the opening of your heart, for this dialogue, more than that, for this meeting.
I thank you and hope to meet you in a few days and then in real time.
So have a nice day and see you very soon.
Okay.